Alright, what's up everybody? It's JT Rubber City Motoring. If you've been following along, I've been mentioning this Trailblazer. Picked this up back in February, but it's finally been nice out. Finally got the Impala reliable here, so I can kind of like mess with this thing a little bit. And yeah, go from there. Long story short, the Subaru, I sold it. Honestly, couldn't be happier. It's a very neat car, but without going too much into it, I'll probably film a separate video on that whole thing. It it just worried me, all the class action lawsuits and recalls and what have you, with the engine issues, and I really wasn't in the mood to learn how to work on a Subaru engine like that. Now, call me lame, that's fine, but I just, only got so much time, and so I got this guy. I'm not really worried about it for the most part, or with anything, or thinking something's going to break. I know how these things work. I'd much rather buy an LS engine for this than work on a Subaru. So anyways, case in point, when I got this thing, and it had really mushy brakes, and my first thought was like, all right, I'll just kind of start fresh, get the front brakes done. And I did notice the fluid was pretty dirty, and without getting into where this came from, you can see it's pretty gross. 2008 original, I'm guessing. So what I'm doing here today is the stainless steel brake line upgrade. You can see it starts there, snakes its way to the caliper. I'm not doing a full how-to, but I just wanted to show this for the people that were getting into it. You undo, it is dark in there, I'll try to adjust this in post-production. You undo the fitting up there, you unbolt the block, you unbolt it from those two bolts right there, and then you unbolt it from the caliper. There is little mounting brackets built onto it, so you can reattach it there to the arm. You reuse the bolt up top, and you turn the fitting, which fit perfectly. They do give you a zip tie, which I zip tied the wheel sensor wire to the brake line, because that's kind of how it was before, with a clamp type setup, like it's like a push connector. And then I also caught a zip tie there just for fun. And then I sort of let the lines bleed, drain out, and then I did bleed it at the caliper. Now my next move, if you look over there, I do have EBC pads and rotors to put on here, and that should do this side. But overall, it should be a major improvement. I think if I just changed fluid alone, it would have been a big enough change. Did want to show you this over here. It's kind of sitting out here drying since I cleaned it. That's the stock line. There's the end for the caliper. There's that bracket I was talking about that holds to the arm there, and then here's the factory block that was with the fitting end on it there. So from what everybody says online, it's a pretty substantial, noticeable upgrade. I did them on my Camaro, and honestly I didn't notice much of an improvement, so fingers crossed on this one. It doesn't hurt though. Now you kind of have a somewhat metal reinforced line the whole way, for the most part. But yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. It's a big bag of parts and stuff that can be kind of intimidating if you don't know, but just lay it all out, watch this video, and you'll be fine. It's not too bad though. So next up is the brakes here, and I'll kind of cut magically and show you what it looks like when it's all done here. So just like that, done. Now I wanted to show a couple things here. These are the EBCs. They honestly, I don't know if it's gonna be of huge benefit on this vehicle, but I did notice EBCs are on a track setting, when I would track my Camaro, they definitely didn't fade as much in the heat, so that was nice. And I had this exact setup on all four corners on that car, so it was noticeable going from stock or whatever to this. They are coated. They've got that, which will disappear when the brakes touch, but the rest of it stays rust free, which is nice. And I did want to show this. If you remember, I mentioned I had a really mushy brake pedal. I mean, it felt like I had no brakes at all up front, and a pretty good amount of pads still on that brake pad there. Here's the other one. So really, if I had to guess, and it was just mostly fluid in there that was pretty awful, which it was black. I mean, you saw in that little bottle. So that's the one side done. Just got to repeat the process on the other side. I'm gonna check my fittings again real quick, just because it kind of freaks me out. I did blow some fluid out of the master cylinder when I compressed the calipers. I kind of got excited and overfilled the master cylinder for the next side. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple job, and definitely once the other side's done, and I was gonna go to the back calipers and bleed those out a little bit too, just to flush some nasty fluid out. Should be pretty good. So alright, more on the Trailblazer to come. Got some plans for this guy. Kind of want to get it back to where my old one used to be, with the electric fans, the tune, that whole deal, just to make it a fun, little bit peppier than it is now. So that's it. Stainless steel lines, EBC, pads and rotors, done and done. Alright, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. See you next time. RubberCityMotoring.com. I'm out of here. See ya.